Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. And we just have a few more months before Inside Out 2 comes out on June 14th. It's actually funny how the first movie came out June 19th, I think it was, yeah, June 19th, and the second movie will come out June 14th. So it'll also come out in June, but it'll come out a little bit sooner than the first one did, which I actually find pretty interesting. But anyway, now I'm not the biggest fan of Inside Out the movie itself. I do like the characters though, the emotions. And this second movie, I do have a few thoughts on this movie, but I'm really hoping that there are certain things that do happen in this movie. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I would like to see happen in Inside Out 2. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, now, the most important thing that I want to see happen in this movie is for it to be clean and decent. That is the main thing. That is the absolute main thing that I want to happen in this movie, even if I myself am not nuts about, the story or the plot, well, just anything really. But yeah, I guess you might say that doesn't necessarily count, but to me it counts. And I feel like we really need some good kids movies these days, now more than ever. So I'm hoping Inside Out 2 will be a good one. But anyway, the next thing that I would really like to see happen is for there to be a villain in Inside Out 2. That's actually funny because Fear was supposed to be the villain of the first movie, and I honestly think that that probably would have been a better idea since Fear is a very dangerous emotion. You know, Fear's powers, not the character Fear himself, because he's he'd be too scared to do anything. But I think that if the movie had went in another direction, a completely different direction, I really think that Fear would have made a great villain. Judging by what he really is, he's literally fear itself. So I think that an emotion like fear or anger or even one of the new emotions that we're going to see in the next movie, like envy or anxiety, I really feel like those emotions would be great villains, especially envy. I think that would be a great villain. But I seriously doubt that anger and fear are going to be villains in the second movie, so that's out. I'm very sure I can say that's out. But what's not out is the fact that one of the new emotions could be like a secret villain or something. Or maybe there's an emotion that they haven't revealed yet that's going to be the secret villain. Or maybe not so secret, I don't know. But since the movie's coming out in a few months, we're probably going to get some more information here very soon. And I am kind of excited to see what all these emotions look like from head to toe. So, anyway, yeah, I do think that an emotion, a villain that's an emotion would be an excellent villain. Because, I mean, for Pete's sake, who wants to feel envy or anxiety? I mean, those emotions are dangerous, especially envy. I actually heard that envy and jealousy are actually two different things, but to me, they're in the same neighborhood. So, yeah, I really feel like those could be like really dangerous villains. And yeah, but I seriously doubt that they would let Riley do anything major, which that I would not want to see happen. But it would be kind of interesting if maybe, I mean, again, Envy may not go that far. And I know there has been some talk about Envy being a villain, and I think there's even some other thoughts about the other emotions being a villain, but I seriously don't think embarrassment and that ennui thing, I didn't even know what that was until later on after I heard about it. But yeah, I seriously don't think those two emotions are even capable of being villains. I seriously doubt that. But I do think that envy and anxiety would make great villains. Now, judging by their powers. Now, I don't think that anxiety, judging by what we saw of her in the trailer, I don't think she's going to be the villain, but since she's the only new emotion that was revealed from head to toe, obviously she's going to have a big part in the movie, I'm guessing maybe she won't, but I have a strong feeling she will. Now, envy. I honestly think if any new emotion would be a villain, it would definitely be envy because envy is described as like the worst emotion of all time and probably the most dangerous other than jealousy, which again is kind of in the same neighborhood. At least I think so. So yeah, I just really think that an emotion that's a villain, if it's not necessarily these characters, but I'm just saying, in general, I think like, the emotion of anger, fear, or envy could really be a great villain. Like they are just bad and they just don't have their owner's interest at heart like Riley's emotions do. Like they don't have their best interest at heart. They just want them to do this certain thing that's involving their powers and oh my goodness, that would be so good. And I seriously don't know why they didn't go in that direction in the first movie because that does seem obvious to do something like that. I mean, for Pete's sake, who wants to feel anger, or fear, or envy? I mean, come on. Now, I guess some people do think that these emotions do have some goodness to them, a good side to them, but I still think envy would be a great villain. But you sure Inside Out 1 didn't have a villain, and I have a feeling this one won't either, but yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think that envy will be the villain of the movie, or anxiety, or some other emotion? Or maybe it's not even a feeling. Maybe it's a person. Maybe there's someone, like maybe some kid at school that's, kind of mean to Riley, and maybe that's where maybe some of the new emotions come in at. So yeah, that could be a possibility as well. Maybe there'd be like bullies in Riley's school or something, or at least just one kid that bugs her or something, like bullies her or something. But yeah, now that could also be a possibility, and judging by the road that they went with the first Inside Out movie, that's probably going to be more likely if there would be any villain at all. Okay, now enough about who the next villain would be or anything about villains. The next thing, now, people were probably thinking that this is super unlikely, but again, this is just stuff that I personally would like to see happen. So I can say this, which is I would kind of like Bing Bong to come back. Now, I know a lot of people probably are thinking, but he's gone. He won't. But, I mean, I kind of don't understand how come he could be forgotten forever because Riley has memories, and I'm sure that the memory of Bing Bong is still around. Now, sure, Bing Bong himself may never come back himself, but the memory of him has still got to be alive. I mean, Riley still got to have some memories in her head of Bing Bong. I mean, I'm sure that they're not all gone. And it would be cool if maybe maybe Joy found out that there's, some memories of Bing Bong and maybe she just plays them in Riley's head, just maybe not so much for Riley, but for her, because she actually met Bing Bong and technically really had an adventure with him. And, maybe that would just be for her. Maybe she could just hold the memory orb in her hand and just, reminisce about him and the adventure that her and Sadness had with him. I mean, even something like that would be fine. And yeah, so Bing Bong doesn't necessarily have to come back. I mean, sure, that would be great if there was a way to revive him, which I'm thinking there might be. I'm not sure what that would be, but it might happen. But I at least like Joy to like look at a memory of Bing Bong, like Riley imagining with Bing Bong and her thinking about her own experience with Bing Bong, with what him and Sadness and herself went through in the first movie, and how he gave up his own life to help Joy get back to headquarters so she could make Riley happy. And so, yeah, that was really sweet, and that might be maybe kind of a bittersweet moment for Joy and Sadness, to remember that moment, or at least Joy, since Joy was actually there. And yeah, I think that would probably be fine, and I think that would be kind of a good idea. Okay, the next thing is, I would kind of like an explanation of why Riley's mom and dad and these other people didn't have these new emotions in their head in the first movie. And some people are probably thinking, oh, that's because they didn't plan on doing a sequel. Well, yeah, but sure, they may not plan on doing a sequel, but since they are making a sequel, they do need to have it add up with the first one, so that's still really no point, and that still doesn't really, I guess, make sense. I hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, I just still think that they should have thought of that, and who knows, they probably did, and it kind of makes sense that it could be possible that these emotions just come up when Riley's in her teens, but I'd imagine these emotions like envy and embarrassment would be emotions that um, come up at any time of anyone's life. But I think I do know that there were going to be more emotions in the first movie, and that they narrowed it down to the main five, which I'm guessing because these are probably the main emotions that people feel: joy, sadness, anger, fear, maybe not disgust, but I am glad they still added her since she was actually the first character from the movie I liked. But I personally would have added envy in the bunch. Plus, there is a moment in the first movie where it does seem like Riley is envious. So, yeah, that confused me because we seen that anger was causing that, but yet she did seem envious at that point. So, maybe envy was in her head, and maybe she somehow was able to cause Riley to feel envious. I don't know. Hopefully, the movie will make some sense of this because these new emotions are actually just bringing up quite a few questions. But don't worry, hopefully, everything will add up once the movie comes out. Hopefully, because I really would like an explanation of why Riley's the only one to be seen with these emotions. So, yeah. But I do know that originally the emotions were supposed to come in and out, come in Riley's head, like in her headquarters area where Joy and the others are when they're needed. So maybe that's what's going to happen in this movie, because a demolition crew does come in, and maybe something that they do um causes that to happen, to where the emotions can just come and go as they please. If so, that probably would have been a pretty good thing for Fear when he was wanting to quit in the first movie. So yes, these are the things I'd like to see happen in Inside Out 2, and I hope at least one of these things happen. And I'm telling you, I think it would be a great idea if one of the new emotions, like envy, was the villain. I think an envy emotion would make a great villain. But even if there is no villain at all, I guess that's fine too. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope we all enjoy Inside Out 2 when it comes out June 14th of this year. So anyway, stay tuned for more.